Hello, everyone, and welcome to the AIRS Foundation series, Airing It Out. And we are still in the middle of October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to the AIRS Foundation for creating this platform of incredible conversations with incredible experts and for being a resource for women who cannot afford breast reconstruction. This is such a dire need, especially now because we're in the middle of a pandemic. We still need breast reconstruction. Breast cancer diagnoses are still happening. So thank you for everyone who is supporting this organization. And if you're looking to support a non-for-profit this month or any month throughout the year, please consider going to the airsfoundation.org website to make a donation. So I would like to introduce my dear friend, Julie Bach. Hey, Julie.
Hi, Melissa.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I am going to read your bio because it is very impressive, and I just want to make sure that I don't want to miss any important facts. So thank you for joining us today. Julie is a yoga and meditation teacher. She's a health and wellness coach and personal resiliency trainer. Love that already. She leverages mindfulness, meditation, breath work, and yoga to help you cultivate awareness of your inner wisdom. Julie is a thought leader within the spa and wellness industry and has spent 20 years dedicated to helping individuals cultivate inner awareness, fostering self-compassion, and developing resiliency skills to prepare for and navigate difficult times. Julie was named Leading Woman in Wellness by the Global Wellness Summit in 2017 for her dedication in bridging the worlds of wellness and well-being with cancer advocacy in over 50 countries. Julie is launching the very first global well-being app in December 2020, can't wait for that, and is looking for individuals interested in piloting the app. Julie can be reached at julie@wellnessforcancer.com. So thank you again for joining us. I'm excited to learn even more than I already know about you. So maybe let's start with this. Tell us about your background and what led you to meditation, breath work, and yoga, which are all each individual very important things, but altogether a whole world.
Sure. So just a little on my background. I was a management consultant for many years and did IT. And my journey with my parents, who both had cancer. And after losing my mother to cancer, I went to Esalen, which is in California, and there was a retreat by MD Anderson, Overcoming Your Genetic Potential. And I thought, well, I lost both parents to cancer. I'm running around in corporate America. Maybe I should stop for a weekend and go to this retreat. So I did, and it was all about yoga, meditation, stress reduction, mindfulness, and eating well. And so what I learned is how to take better care of me. And if I were to get cancer, to continue on how to take care of me. So it's extremely empowering to know that how to take care of yourself on multiple levels. So that's what got me into it. And for me, yoga is a way of life. And the teacher training that I took a few years after that MD Anderson workshop was called Life of a Yogi. And we'll talk a little bit more about how yoga is a system.
Wow, incredible. I didn't even realize that you came from an IT background, and I'm so sorry. I had no idea that you lost both of your parents to cancer. Now this is all making sense that you've become immersed in this world and how important it is to you and for you now to share what you know with the rest of us. And you know what I find so interesting? We go to elementary school, we go to high school, go to college. You would think that at some point this would be part of the coursework, right? I mean, these are such ancient, fundamental modalities that help us live even through the most challenging chapters of our life. So I just want to thank you for bringing this to us because I wish it's something that, was part of the curriculum, so to speak.
It's happening now. You're seeing more and more of these happening in the curriculums in schools at all levels. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely. So I agree. And I have to say, I know we have our children are similar ages and they are definitely more aware. Like I turned my older daughter on to meditation. And sometimes, like when she's having a rough day, she'll be like, Mommy, you know what? Can we meditate tonight? Like she actually likes to do it with me. So it's a wonderful tool, especially now, especially with teens and everything that's going on. So the AIRS Foundation is really amazing, and they help enable women to afford breast reconstruction who otherwise could not. And obviously, whether you choose to reconstruct or go flat is a personal choice. What do you think the connection is between self-image and wellness? I want to kind of talk about the bridge here now, especially for those of us that are tuning in and that are sort of hungry for this information.
Sure. Well, I'm just going to talk a little bit about body image first, and then linking it over to wellness, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So, the most destructive psychological impact of cancer is body image. And body image is defined as the attitudes, the perceptions, and the beliefs with respect to one's body. And a person's body image is actually a product of the social and the psychological experiences that has shaped a person's impression of their sense of their physical experience. And so as we're talking about cancer here, some of the common themes around body image, which I know not everyone on the call has gone through cancer, which is why I'm just taking a moment just to help you also know how to help your friend and recognize things. And also, if you're going through this, to recognize this is normal. These are normal feelings. And so some of the common themes around body image is it's around visible and invisible changes that are happening to the body, experiencing very intense thoughts and emotions toward the body. For some people, they may have gratitude for their body, and some people may feel their body let them down. So there can be a lot of intense emotions. And that does affect your well-being, of course. And what is the meaning of the body? Is the body a vehicle for health? Is it a vehicle for well-being? Is it a vehicle for social expressions? And this is part of the mindfulness piece as well. And learning how to manage and to deal with the physical changes. So those are the categories when we think of body image. And when we think of well-being, how is that linked? Well, it's linked to lower self-esteem and reduced social participation. So it could look like things like dissatisfaction with your appearance, even when you're dressed, your loss of femininity or masculinity, or a person's reluctance and avoidance to look at themselves when they're naked, feeling less attractive, feeling sexually less attractive, having a loss of body integrity, maybe that's strength, maybe that's range of motion, and being self-conscious about the appearance. So all of these have a link to low self-esteem. I just want to take this a moment, and then I'll flip back over to you, Melissa, to delve a little deeper to make sure I'm on target here.
Oh, no, completely. I mean, and just as a minor segue, I mean, so many of the notes that you just hit, I'm sure are going to resonate with so many of us that are tuning in. Self-image, accept that your body let you down. All of those. These are all, you're validating so many of our feelings. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I'm reading really off of a lot of the research that has been done around body image. And so one of the meanings of the body, right, is to appear to look normal. And that's to shield any negative attention and to protect from any sort of social judgment or stereotypical remarks that are associated with looking different because of cancer. So some quotes from some of the research studies from this one individual I've pulled up. She says, to me, it's extremely important to just look normal, to just look like everyone else, to not look any different. And if you can feel different inside, that's okay. But you look on the outside like everyone else. And what we'll talk about later is that yoga goes beyond the physical external appearance, but that's a place that we can start. the meaning of the body also transmits how someone feels on the inside. So this comes back to, how am I signaling how well I'm doing with my treatments, how well I'm feeling about myself. So this external representation of a person's body communicates how well they're doing. At least that is how it's perceived. And the third is that, again, people don't want to be treated and feel any different. So it's this connection to the body. And how do you deal with these intense emotions and thoughts that my body may not be how I thought it was going to be, or comparing it to previous versions of myself? And this again is where the mindfulness component, the meditation component of yoga comes in. So I'll pause for a minute, and then I'm happy to go into a little bit more on yoga, or whichever questions you'd like to ask next.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your insight. I think what kind of resonated with me is that, there is a connection between self-image and wellness. And I never really put the two together, but, and I think that when you do make that connection, you're going to have success in your journey in accepting your body, especially going through changes. And because I would imagine, and you should probably agree, it's all cyclical. If you're taking care of yourself and you're taking the extra step in learning these new modalities, maybe that you've never meditated before, you've never practiced yoga, but maybe it can help you feel good physically, but it can also flip some switches emotionally with self-image. It's like all one ecosystem, really, correct?
Correct. And what a lot of the science and the studies are important, because this is how programs get developed, is that younger women especially have a harder time with the physical changes. Now, someone like me in my mid 50s, I'm changing. I'm seeing changes over time, right? But it's a little different when you're younger. Also, from a socioeconomic standpoint, the access to resources to help also has been identified as a challenge. And so making this information, but not just information, making it a way that you can bring a practice into your life is extremely important. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is how to do that.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the things that I would like to do is sort of demystify this whole wellness thing. I know a lot of people, even myself, before I was introduced to yoga and meditation, which oddly enough happened right on the heels of my diagnosis, because I had a dear friend, Emmy, who just upon my diagnosis said, okay, you have breast cancer, you should meditate. And at first I'm like, are you insane? I don't have time for that. I have doctor appointments. I have bills, to pay. And I didn't understand the value until I stopped and I did it. And I think that, as much as it's so much more mainstream, I still think to some people it can be intimidating. Like, oh, like yoga, well, I don't know if I have the right outfit. And I'm 49. I've never done that before. Is it too late? Or I don't know how to meditate. I can't sit still for more than 3 minutes. So I think it's just keeping our minds open and learning about this, just like, cooking or, other hobbies, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, so some of the things you've touched about or touched on is, when we think of yoga, a lot of times people break up yoga into different components. And when I talk about yoga, there's what's called 8 limbs of yoga. So yoga is a system. It's actually a way of life. So just, I won't touch on all the limbs, but the first one just talks about like ways to live. And one of them that you hear from Lululemon is called Ahimsa. And Ahimsa means non-harming. So you can take non-harming all the way down to how we talk to ourselves, our thoughts and our beliefs about ourselves. So that's an aspect of yoga that does not get talked about. Another one practice is about contentment. And that's cultivating an attitude of gratitude for having enough. So there are different aspects of yoga that are not yoga is not a religion in any aspect, but just to show you that how it's always been a way of life, and how it parallels many ways of lives. And so when we talk about yoga in general now, I'm talking about the postures, right? So that's when you talked about, am I wearing the right outfit? So the postures is just one component. It's actually a small component of yoga. Then you have your breath work, your relaxation, and your meditation. And how they relate is, they help you with your fitness. So we're talking the postures right now, can help you with your flexibility, with your strength, with your coordination, and even with your respiratory. It helps you with your regulation of emotions. So this is your postures, your breathing, your relaxation, your meditation. Helps you with stress, right? Because maybe cancer has come as a shock. Maybe there's a lot of things going on. So learning about what you had just mentioned, resiliency. So resiliency is the ability to prepare for and to bounce back from situations. And that's how yoga helps us to connect to ourselves, to help us have confidence, calmness, and empathy toward ourselves so that we can cultivate greater awareness, greater compassion, greater beauty, and a greater perception of our body image.
Beautiful.
So that self-regulation is another benefit of yoga. The third is awareness. So awareness, now I'm talking about awareness of body, and I'll go a little deeper in a few minutes, but also awareness of where we place our attention. Where do our thoughts go? Do they go to the past, or do they go to the present? I mean, not to the future. And the only time that's real and happening is right now. That's why it's called present. It's a gift to appreciate what's going on right now. So as you go,
you say the present moment is the gift, right?
yeah,
I love that. And what's, just to sort of backtrack a little bit, I feel like what you're sort of saying, and you can confirm this, is that when you're going through breast reconstruction or undergoing chemotherapy or any kind of ailment, it sounds like yoga, meditation, awareness, breath work, this is like a toolbox, right?
yes,
That you should be dipping into to help you be the best version of yourself along the way, just emotionally and physically.
right, exactly. So just breaking it down to little boxes, right? So fitness, regulation, awareness, and of course spirituality. And what that all comes back to, what those tools help you do, is how we function better as a human being, which is what you just touched on. So you have your physical health, because we are in a body, right? We have our mental health. So how are we performing? We have our stress and emotional regulation, our awareness, our mindfulness of being present, and our positive behavior, and even finding life purpose and meaning.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sort of like, I like how you really painted the whole picture. We could see all of the different modalities and why they're all important, and they kind of all work together. Let's start with meditation. Why is it so important for someone to incorporate this into their lifestyle, especially when they're undergoing reconstruction or surgery or any kind of an ailment?
Sure. So meditation, there's many forms of meditation. So a lot of times we think we have to sit really rigid for,
Right, with the
30,
Buddha
40.
and the crystals and the perfect light
Yeah.
in this way, and the oil.
And you could meditate when you're in the zone. You can be a skier, let's say, or an artist, and you're 100% focused, and your attention is exactly where it needs to be, right? And you can keep it there. So on one aspect, meditation has many levels. And so actually, if we could digress for 1 second, I'd like to start first with the physical, which is the asana portion, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the reason that we focus on I want to focus on the physical is because, one, we're talking about body image, and it's coming home to the body, right? It's about befriending our body and making friends with all of the body. And in order to do that, we first, from the asana or the posture standpoint, that's very physical. Breathing tends to be a link between the physical and the mental or the cognitive. So breathing is between the physical body and the mind. And meditation is working on the mind and its relationship with thoughts. So that's why sometimes it's easier to start with the physical aspect of yoga and having an awareness of the body and having an awareness of the breath, because most of the time we're walking around here, that we're not in our body. So we have to be able to connect to ourselves before we can connect to anyone else. And so that starts with understanding what we find acceptable about our body and what we find unacceptable, and exploring that a little bit, and remembering this is the meditation portion. Again, it's all interrelated, and that's what I'm trying to show is the meditation portion. Like maybe you're doing a pose and you don't think your body can do that, and the meditation part or the mindfulness might say that's not true. Just because you thought that doesn't mean it's true. And so what you do on the mat is really important, to appreciate your body, but also to appreciate the limits that you're imposing from a mental standpoint. And then the mindfulness and the breath and the meditation help you to address that. And so I'm hoping that I'm making sense, that the physical is a link, and it helps us to understand our emotions and our thoughts, and that takes some time for us to be able to understand. So starting at the physical is actually quite important. And in order to be able to sit for meditation, typically you do the yoga postures, and you do that. See, I'm moving all over in my chair right now.
Right.
But you do that so that you won't fidget, you won't move around, you get all that out. So if you're running around and you're like, oh, I got to go meditate, you're not going to be able to sit and meditate unless
So
you've
yoga is
trained.
sort of like a good way to transition in, even if it's a super simple pose.
Yes, yeah. So the whole reason for asanas, not the whole reason, but a large portion, is to keep the body strong. So that if I'm sitting up in meditation, it's not my back muscles that are holding me up, it's actually my spine, and having awareness of that. If I'm crossing my legs, I should have done some practices beforehand just to get them stretched and flexible. So, and working with the joints in my knees. So that's why you do the asana first, is just to get rid of all that excess energy, to stretch so that you can sit in meditation. So preparing for meditation is important.
And thank you for that. And, this is sort of more of a layman's question, but I'm asked all the time, especially from friends that have never, where do you begin? Do you use an app? Do you just sit in silence? For someone that's never meditated before, do you try and do 15 minutes at the first shot, or 3? What would you recommend? And I know you're feel free to share. I know you're developing an app, but what would be the best way for someone that's never meditated before to start?
So it's going to depend on what you like to do. So for example, let's talk about yoga from the movement perspective. All right, you can do the asana as an exercise, or you can do it as a way to be aware of your body, or you could do it as a way to be awareness. Okay, so if you're an active person and you can't sit for meditation, listening to a guided meditation is not necessarily going to help you. it will help you better than vegging out on Netflix, but it's
Right.
a distraction,
Right.
right, from whatever you're feeling at the moment. So if you like movement, a moving meditation might be better for you, or something, even an activity like the slower forms of yoga. I'm still moving, but I'm moving with my breath. But that is a form of meditation. The very first level of meditation is awareness of your breath and awareness of your body and calming the body down. Because once the body's calm, the mind can calm down, right?
Interesting. So
So
before you even meditate, even if you, let's say maybe if you're not doing yoga, you can even just go for a walk, and not a brisk walk, just like a calm walk, or maybe just sit down and in silence for a few minutes before you close your eyes and go into a more meditative state.
Right. And sometimes people will do a guided imagery. I do it with chakras or whatever, relaxation. And I do it because what they have found is it can take up to 20 minutes for a non-meditator to relax.
To
So
really
the
get,
first
especially because a lot of our audience, we're dealing with women that are very stressed out, and it's really hard for them to calm down. It's hard for them to sleep. They're probably sleep deprived. So it sounds like what you're saying is, even if you haven't meditated before, just to kind of like do something that calms you first before going from 100 to 0, which is hard to do.
Right. So again, when you look at the yoga system itself, they start with the postures, right? So getting all that out. Then the next is pranayama. So that's breath work. So it can be something as easy as breathing in for a count of 5, breathing out for a count of 5. Okay. So now you're using the breath to calm the body, right? And this is something that's accessible. It's very easy for us to sit here and breathe or to even meditate. But when I'm visiting a doctor or my child's yelling at me, I need a tool that I can come to. And I'm not going to stop my child and say, I need to put this guided meditation on right now. Let me talk to you in a few minutes, right? So the tools have to be practical and accessible. Your body is always accessible, and your breath is always accessible. And that breath is the link between the mind, the heart, really, as well, and the body. So then I would go, so I'd move a little bit, right? However that movement is. It could just be moving my shoulders. It could be moving my neck, just moving around so I'm not going to fidget.
Because I know some people, they hear asana, they're like, I don't know that. What's that,
Yeah, so it's just moving around. And then it's just, okay, I'm just going to come to my breath right now. Am I feeling discomfort anywhere in my body? Because if I am during my meditation practice, it's going to yell, hey, my foot's falling asleep. Hey, you didn't go send the email. So get out of meditation and go send that email, right? So you move into your breath. And then after you move into your breath, that's when you can begin meditation because the body is calmer. That's also why Tai Chi or Qigong or slower forms of yoga bring all of those components together. So you're moving with your breath, right? And it's very meditative and calming the body and the mind together. There is no one way. And what you'll find is you're different from day to day. My practice in the morning could be different from my practice at night. My practice today could be different from tomorrow because it's not just a practice. It's cultivating tools so that when the time comes, you could go right to that tool because you've practiced enough with it, right? In the middle of stress is not the time to go, oh, I'm going to learn how to become a meditator now.
Right.
Right.
No, just taking a deep breath, a few deep breaths, it sounds so simple, but I've done it. And if you remember to do it, it really does help.
Right. So the best time to do that is with your children or anything that's stressful. And instead of making it a 30-minute practice every day, just make it a tool that you go to. Do it in the morning, do it several times. So I call it sips of wellness. All right. So they're tiny bits of time that you spend in these practices, and your body grows to love it and it grows to want it more. So then it's easier to drop into that meditative state because I'm training my body how to get there, right? That's what you're doing at first. So it's not the one time a week yoga class. It's the 5 minutes a day, or even if I'm in my bed and I'm waking up and I'm just moving my joints, okay? That's a yoga practice. There are yoga practices for flexibility and stretching in your bed before you go to bed or in the morning, right?
Beautiful. It's like you raise such an interesting point because we think, well, okay, yoga, where do I sign up? What do I wear? The meditation. Okay, so what app? But really, a lot of these modalities are actually very simple things that we all know how to do. It's just a reminder to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that it's part of it, it can actually help us feel better. These simple things, whether it's breathing or closing our eyes for a few minutes or using a guided meditation or a simple yoga pose.
And it's getting in touch with the body, right? So knowing what kinds of movements, right, feel good for my body, what kind don't. Where does my mind go? What kinds of thoughts, right? So we all tend to like to avoid anything that's painful and go to anything that's pleasurable, right? But the invitation from a meditation and mindfulness standpoint is to be with that suffering, because the only way you know happiness and joy is through suffering. I'm not saying create more suffering. We all have enough suffering.
Yeah.
Right? But if you think of here's suffering and here's happiness, they're two sides, namaste. They're two sides of the same coin. You cannot have one without the other.
Interesting.
But if you run away from suffering, you check out to Netflix or do whatever, go start drinking or whatever, you're not going to find happiness. But learning how to sit with, why am I suffering? Oh, my mind is, I'm not talking pain, physical pain, okay? My mind is taking me over here. Well, is that true? So we have to learn to sit with uncomfortable situations so that we train this guy. Thank you for telling me that, but I'm not gonna listen to that right now.
This is like a light bulb moment for me, because we, especially now in the middle of a pandemic, we're all looking for an escape, whether it's Netflix or that glass of wine, and there's nothing wrong with these things. But you raise a very good point that if you're using those things to sort of run away from what's bothering you emotionally, then you're not really going to be able to resolve it. But if you sit with it, you move, you meditate on it, and you kind of look at it and say, am I creating these thoughts? Is this really true? And then you let it flow to a more positive place.
Right. So when you start working with your mindfulness of breath, for example, so breathing practices or a body scan, and you breathe and you're like, why is my chest tight? And you breathe into it, or you move a little bit to loosen it up. And you might find, oh, it's tight because in the back of my head, I'm thinking about this. Do I feel like going there right now? So that's the beauty, is the breath tells us what's present in the body, and we can shift it very quickly with a thought, or this is why they say the attitude of gratitude. If you feel an emotion, you can shift. So coming back to body image, for example, and beauty. Beauty is a feeling. So I can cultivate beauty by looking at something beautiful, by thinking of something beautiful, right? And that beauty is going to radiate from the inside out much better than the outside in, right? And so understanding that link of feelings, thoughts, and emotions, if this makes sense, your breath tells you where the body, where the thoughts are, and you can shift it at any point in time.
Such an incredible and simple tool. And also, I might add, breath work is great for anyone, but especially not just those of you that are tuning in that are undergoing treatment or reconstruction, but your caretakers. If there are any caretakers watching, it is definitely really so difficult and under normal circumstances to care for a loved one who's going through treatment, but especially now, you feel like you're in treatment with them. So this is really wonderful. If you're taking care of someone that's, recovering from surgery or chemotherapy and you're having a moment, you could just, take a step back, take a deep breath, and incorporate a lot of these techniques.
Yeah, so yoga's good for everybody, right? And again, when we talk about yoga, I'm talking about postures, breathing, relaxation, and meditation. And so from a cancer patient standpoint, we talked about most of those benefits, but the ability to focus. So if you're going through chemo and you have chemo brain, or you're going through menopause and you have, menopause brain, right? What is that I just say? I don't remember. I use that excuse for my kids all the time. So meditation helps with the meditation component, helps with that concentration aspect. All of yoga, the different studies show that yoga helps with fatigue, cancer-related fatigue, because you're moving. Movement is the best for cancer-related fatigue. Okay.
This is very interesting, Julie, because there were definitely some times when I was going through chemo that working out, I was lucky I can, walk my dog around the corner. And what it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like yoga is one of those things that you can do in a gentle way, even if you're feeling not well. And
even if you're in bed, you can still do some poses. You can still move. We have to move our body, right? We have fluids in our body too that have to move. And yoga also helps with sleep. So sleep and pain. So there's a lot of really good benefits. The challenge with yoga is not the science. The science shows that it works. The challenge has been, how do we get people to practice, right? And this is why we want to launch an app to see, are people looking for just 5 minutes a day? Can you do 5 minutes a day for, 7 days? Do you need it structured? Do you want to visit the same practice every day? Well, what about breathing? And so if we can find ways that help you stay in your practice, okay, not entertainment, but in your practice, then you will continue to achieve those benefits. It's like brushing your teeth. You have to do it every day. And so how can we make it simple and accessible? And that's what we want to experiment, because the medical community has not been able to figure that out. They figured out the science piece and can prove it. But now we've got to figure out, and that's what we need everyone's help on, is how can we help you to embody a practice? You don't have to call it yoga. It can be breathing. It can be resiliency. It can be just thinking about my thoughts. It can be beauty, cultivating beauty from the inside.
Absolutely. And then what I find interesting about this conversation is I never really saw the connection between, yoga, breath work, mindfulness, and body image. And it is interconnected, truly.
It's right, because you're dealing with the physical body, you're dealing with your thoughts and your emotions, right? So that's your meditation, and that the body believes that what the mind is saying is true. And that comes as emotion. So yeah, it's all put together.
Awesome. So, if I were watching this, I'd probably be thinking, this all sounds great. What do I do next? So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your app, because that's sort of like one of the reasons that you're working on this app, is to make it even that much easier to have access to to know how to start yoga, how to meditate, how to breathe, do and bring it all into one place.
Right. So the app, the place to start is just experimenting in a way, right? So like I said before, if you tend to be a more physical person, then you might want to start more in yoga. And all of our yoga is more slower. So it's combining more with the breath to help you come in to the body. But maybe you have a yoga practice. So then we have different meditations. So we have guided meditations, which is, again, a good way, because maybe you need to hear somebody guide you through a meditation with really nice music to help you get to that point where you're calm, right? So that it helps you. So whatever that doorway is to help you find, and we have lots of different doorways in the app right now. It's not a ton of content, maybe 100 videos, but played in different ways to see what combinations work for people.
Beautiful. And the app is launching when, and what is the name of it? How can we find it?
Well, you can't find it yet, so you'll have to email me at julie@wellnessforcancer.com, or through you or AIR's Foundation. And it is going to be called Kaleidoscope View. And the reason being is that kaleidoscope, like if you think about looking in the lens, right, it needs color. The slightest bit of movement changes the view, changes the beauty, right? And so kaleidoscope is a beautiful way of just thinking of your life as either a blank canvas or a story. How do you want your life to be? And it can change with just one little movement, right? Or one little breath. So kaleidoscope view, the website's not available because we're looking right now in the app, so you can't get there purposely.
Everybody, you heard it here first, right?
Yeah.
From Julie, the expert.
Yeah, so we're excited about it. Again, it's a pilot study. And the more people that participate and give us feedback on it and try it over some time, the more we can help people. And that's what we're trying to figure out, how to make sustained behavioral changes, lifestyle changes.
Beautiful. And I love that you've put it all in one place, because we've had these conversations before that you have to go to this one, TV station or app for yoga, and then somewhere else for the meditation. So it's nice that you've pulled it all together, and it's all, content that you've, curated, which is amazing. And that you're really acknowledging the cancer community. And I'm really excited because soon, in a couple of minutes, you're going to treat us to a meditation. So anyone that's never tried meditation gets to try it here first. But first, I just wanted to, mention again, the AIRS Foundation has created this incredible platform for us to have conversations with experts like Julie. And the AIRS Foundation, I just love because they help raise money for women that cannot afford breast reconstruction. And we're in the middle of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October, but women are diagnosed with breast cancer all year round. They need breast reconstruction all year round. So if you're looking for a way to help and donate to our community, just go to the airsfoundation.org. And thank you so much for your incredible generosity. So, I mean, Julie, I could talk to you all day.
I know.
It's so cool. Like, I honestly just want to come over and be like, what is a day in the life of Julie? Like, are we the nighttime meditation, the morning yoga? I just can't. And I'm sure that's what you're bringing to this app. So I can't wait to see it.
Well, that's what we're hoping. And the meditation that you'll listen to in a few minutes is from Michelle, who's from Zimbabwe. Ooh. And so she has a little African music in there, but it's really beautiful. And you can hear just the invitation to be calm. And remember, you're a human being. You have to breathe. You have to move your body. You have to have a relationship with the one thing that's always with you no matter what, which is you. And so no pressure. You know how to work with you, and you know how to breathe, and you know how to move. So the beauty of it is just learning to be friends with yourself. That's where you start.
Oh, you just gave me the goosebumps. Everyone, be friends with yourself. Love your body. It's so hard, especially as you undergo some serious changes. But that is such a beautiful message, Julie. Thank you. Thank you so much. So without further ado, I'm excited. I actually did not meditate today, so I could use a dose of your meditation love here. So
and it's just a 3.5 minutes, so it's not long. So please stay on, because I think that you'll really love Michelle.
Beautiful. And so for anyone that maybe just tuned in, can you just introduce the meditation one more time?
So this meditation, I have to remember what it's on. It's called Morning Meditation, but it's a meditation on gratitude and gratitude for life. And
Ooh.
so it's nice. It's guided. It uses a little bit of neuralistic programming in there, which is very good to help you with affirmations. So I'm not going to say much more on it.
Okay,
I think
now
that
are we
you'll enjoy it.
closing our eyes? What should we be doing?
Oh,
Uncrossing our legs, maybe?
so you brought up a point, and we have a few extra minutes before the meditation. So you can have your eyes open or closed anytime with meditation. You can be sitting, you can be standing, you can be walking, you can be laying down. There's certain practices of why you sit, and there are other practices of moving. But my invitation for you as you go deeper into meditation and the different aspects that we talked about with yoga is your life becomes the meditation. So you don't have to sit for 45 minutes. Your life becomes about breathing in a regular pattern, so you don't have to practice. And that's the goal, is that your life is this beautiful life that you are in control of how you react to situations. The situations may not be pleasant, but you still have a choice in what emotion you're going to cultivate in your body. So to me, it doesn't matter if it's open or closed. I did it both ways. I think I played this 8 times today because it was sent to me this morning from Africa, and I really liked it. So
I love it. Ooh, well, I can't wait. You really have me excited about this. So everyone, I think we're going to get ready to do this meditation. So just sit back and relax and close your eyes and just be.
Perfect.
We're going to beam it up in a minute.
I give thanks and full appreciation that I am awake, aware, and alive. I surrender my life to the presence that is never an absence, and I invite the strength to fulfill the roles that come across my path today. Thank you. So as I enter into this field of gratitude and thanksgiving for just simply being alive and being in existence, I recognize the great presence that is everywhere in its fullness. I have a great awareness of my oneness with all of life. Its all-encompassing greatness is right here, right now. It is from this awareness that I feel so unified with this divine presence that the very word that I am speaking is a law unto itself that only knows its own fulfillment. And this I speak with the grace and power of one knowing that all that there is a manifestation of the only thing that is. This is a presence that is never an absence. I speak the word naming this day magnificent, this day uplifting, inspiring, healing, allowing me to be an instrument through which more love and harmony, more peace, wellness, and well-being can reveal itself. Everywhere I go, I invite multiple blessings to occur. Blessings simply being a greater expression of life. This is a great day. I live with the total receptivity to more good than I could possibly imagine. I am available to more good than I could possibly imagine. I am an instrument of that good. All of this is happening right now. This day is blessed. I give thanks for it, and I allow it to be so. And so it is. Namaste.
Gently rub your hands together, creating some heat. And then place the palms of your hands over your eyes and slowly open your eyes. Go ahead and bring your hands down. Hopefully you are in a nice, relaxed, grateful place.
Yeah, I don't want to work anymore today. Thank you.
This,
I'm teasing.
no, but this is the body's natural state. This place of calmness. And anytime we are to take an important decision, anytime we greet a friend, this is where we should be. But we've trained our body to only be here when we go to sleep.
Wow.
So as you visit this more often, this is how you can become at any point in time. And that's knowing what your natural state is, which is calm.
It's so beautiful because I don't even think, and for those of you that have, or you probably agree who just tried this, I didn't even realize how up here I was until I did this.
Right. Remember I said, we all live here. We live in our heads and our thoughts. We are disconnected from the body. And the first connection is back with ourselves. There's a million things going on in our body just in this 1 second that we're not even aware of. Right? So the invitation is to come home.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. I feel truly, all kidding aside, I feel centered. I feel calm. And it's not like a sleepy calm. I feel just centered.
Well, you can tell in your voice. Anytime I do a presentation, this is where I am.
Wow.
Unless I'm trying to be entertaining, which is different. I'm still here, but I'm entertaining. But this is, it's one breath away. One breath away.
I love it.
Brings you here.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Chat with you all day. So thank you again, and remind us of the name of the app and around when it will be available.
It will come out in December, and the website will come out first because it takes time, but it will be Kaleidoscope View, VIEW.
Beautiful.
And you can email me to sign up Melissa and AiR's Foundation will give you certificates to give out to people to sign up. So they can just contact both of you and you'll be fine.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing a wealth of knowledge in just 1 hour. And we hope to have you back at some point. And we cannot wait to see the Kaleidoscope app come to life. And thank you once again to the AiR's Foundation for creating this platform for us to talk about these important and very educational and useful topics, and for being a wonderful non-for-profit that helps raise money for women who cannot afford their breast reconstruction. Thank you for all that you do.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Namaste. I hope.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.